What's good, y'all? Rich Sosa back in a building with another banger. Now, first things first, before we go ahead and get started today, I gotta say thank God for another day and another opportunity. Now, as y'all can see from the looks of the title and the screen, today I'm gonna be bringing y'all a very special video. Now, what I'm gonna be calling this archetype today is the Mamba mentality build. Now, it's also going to remind me of Michael Jordan as well as LeBron James. I definitely think that this is going to be one of the very best builds to make going into NBA 2K24 on Season 1. Now, with Pro Play being introduced, I'm telling y'all, this is something that I did really take into consideration. Now, a lot of people in the 2K community have definitely been talking about this topic. It's been a hot one, and I'm telling y'all, this is going to make a huge difference when it comes down to making builds going into the future. Now, we're going to be able to play literally exactly like any NBA player from the present and past. So that's something that I'm definitely excited to share about with y'all. But before we get any further into this video, if it's your first time coming through, be sure to hit that sub button if you're new, smash that like button, turn on post notifications to be a part of the Rich family, and last but definitely not least, go ahead and comment down TG for thank God and where you're tuning in from, and I most definitely will be sure to get back to y'all with the response. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of today's build. So of course, we want to put this one under the shooting guard position. As for when it comes down to the height, weight, and wingspan, this is going to play a huge factor with today's build. So go ahead and put the height to 6'6". As for the weight, I'm going to go with 198. And as for the wingspan, I decided to go ahead and put this to 6'11", so leave it as is. Now, the body shape I like best today is going to be defined. And moving forward, there's going to be a few different things with this build that's definitely going to remind me of both Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. So first, let's go ahead and get started with the physicals. Now, going into NBA 2K24, I definitely believe that we will be seeing a new builder system. Now, with that being said, we're also going to be able to take what we know now from the 2K23 My Player Builder and apply it somewhat into the NBA 2K24 build. Now, going into NBA 2K24, I'm more than sure that we're going to be able to get at least somewhat of a new builder system. Now, we can also take and apply what we know currently of the NBA 2K23 builder system, and just about take anything that we know when it comes down to attributes, the basics like animations, all of that good stuff like badges, and carry it on moving forward. So when it comes down to a build moving into the next game, on 2K24 you definitely want to make sure that you're making a build out of the shooting guard position that's going to be somewhat not too low on the speed, but definitely not too high because you have other areas that you want to care more about. So as far as when it comes down to the speed and acceleration, I think this is somewhat of a balance that I'm going to be going forward when it comes down to Season 1 on 2K24. Now, as far as when it comes down to this vertical, I would definitely make it to the minimum threshold to be able to unlock contact dunks. Now, whether or not you want to go with the minimum or the highest level, it really comes down to your own liking. And then as for when it comes to the stamina, this is going to be a crucial part, and I think really, as we've seen a huge difference in recent years when it comes down to this stat, I think the same is going to apply going into the next. So something that I'm going to do moving forward when I make my next build on 2K24 out of the shooting guard position is make sure that I have a key high stamina being the main attribute when it comes down to the physicals. Now, this is pretty much something that I would move forward with. And as for when it comes down to the strength, you definitely don't want to leave this too low, but I think somewhere around the 60s is going to be. Now, I'm pretty happy with the physicals. I think we're pretty balanced with the speed. Also, when it comes down, the same can be said for the acceleration. The strength is just about where we need it, not to get bullied. And then when it comes down to the vertical, this is going to be really special. And if you want to go the route to go ahead and lower it or raise it, really comes down to your own liking and preference. But for me, I'm going to make sure that I go with the minimum threshold to get the contact done. Now, when it comes down to these physicals, I think these are going to be the best numbers to go with going into NBA 2K24. Now, the speed and acceleration are pretty balanced, especially if we do have the gym rat badge. And then when it comes down to the vertical, I'm definitely going to go at least with the minimum to get the highest level of contact dunks on 2K24. Now, for the stamina, not much needs to be said about this. But from here, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of the finishing. So for the close shot, I know these numbers may be different going into the new year. So go ahead and put this to a 66. As for when it comes down to our layup, you definitely want to be sure that you're making a finisher. So I'm going to go with a minimum threshold of an 82. And as for when it comes down to the driving dunk, this is all my preference basing it off of 2K23. But I'm definitely going to make a build that's going to be with the minimum of the highest tier of contact dunks. So let's go ahead and say that 96 is going to be the minimum threshold to get elite contact dunks in the new 2K. That's the level that I'm going to be going with, but for badge purposes on 2K23, I'm going to go ahead and leave it like this. Now as for the post control, go ahead and put this up to an 80. And this is something that I would make going into the new year. Now look, when it comes down to this build overall, I think we're going to be strong on all 4 areas, especially when it comes down to the physicals. As for the badges, you can pretty much see what we're going to be able to do. The main one that I'm really focused on are going to be the tier 3. But as for when it comes down to tier 1 and tier 2, you're pretty much going to be able to hold your own weight as well. Now when it comes down to the finishing as a whole, going into 2K24, I think everybody should want to make some type of a slasher, just so that way you have multiple things to go into your bag when it comes down to the offensive side of the ball. Now let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of the shooting. Now if you truly want to be like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, something that I would consider would be the mid-range shot. So I'm going to go with an 81. And as for the three-pointer, I feel like every year it does follow the same trend. As long as you find a jumper that you're able to hit with a 70 and up, I think we're going to be perfect. Now as far as when it comes down to this mid-range, I don't see too many people struggling with a mid-range shot in the 80s, especially when it comes down to the 80 rating as a whole. You're going to be able to find success in the new 2K, especially from what we have heard from Mike Wang. I know that badges do not affect the actual shooting percentage or the green window for jump shots. Now as for the free throw, this is really optional, but take into account buying your own boost, running with a teammate that has on Hall of Fame floor general in the next 2K, and also getting that ability to raise your attributes the better you play throughout each game. And I think you're going to be able to get this number at least to a 60 or a 70. Now as for the badges for the shooting, I think we have everything more and needed to be effective, but who knows, most of these badges may not even be here. As far as when it comes down to the shooting as a whole, I think we're going to be a threat. Now moving on to the playmaking, something that I do want to focus on is that I'm able to pass the ball. We definitely saw this year in 23 just how important this attribute is. Now when it comes down to the ball handle, I'm going to go with an 85. And that right there in the next 2K, I'm going to make sure that I'm going with a rating that's at least going to be able to unlock the minimum of pro dribble moves. Now if you want to, you can definitely go ahead and lower or raise this number to your own liking. And then as for when it comes down to the speed with ball, put this to a 75, and right there we get a total of 16 badges. So look right there, I like Ankle Breaker. Also for tier 2, I'm looking at Quick First Step. And tier 3, the main one that I'm looking at is going to be Handles for Days. Now like I said, the badges may be completely different going into 2K24, but this is somewhat of a template that I'm looking to make from my 2K24 shooting guard build. Now just to wrap everything up on the defensive end, go ahead and put that interior up to a 74. Now I really believe that this is a key factor on my 2K24 shooting guard build, because I do not want to make one that's going to be getting bullied down below. And then when it comes down to the perimeter defense, I decided to go ahead and put this up to an 86. Now as for the steal, put this to an 82. And as for the block, put this to a 70. And then wrapping everything up with the defensive rebound, I'm going to go with the 60. And right there we get a total of at least 20 defensive badges. Now the rest, I decided to go ahead and throw it into my offensive rebound and also the free throw. But if you want to go another route, you definitely can do so. And as for the defensive end, as you can see, we're pretty much going to be able to guard any build 1 through the 5 with these ratings. Now as for the badges, I think we have a pretty good lineup for tier 1 and tier 2. Tier 3, I think we have a nice balance as well, especially with the badge that we're able to get with Interceptor. Now overall, this is what I'm looking to make my 2K24 shooting guard like. I'm able to guard the inside and out, shoot and dribble, and then when it comes down to the finishing, this is probably the strongest suit of this build. Now when it comes down to the takeovers, we get the slashing, shot creating, lockdown, and then also the post scoring. Now to be truly 100% like Kobe Bryant, we do already have a pretty high rating when it comes down to our finishing. So I would consider one of the slashing takeovers, but I definitely believe that the shot creating is going to be more like it. So today I'm going to go with pull-up precision, but you definitely can go with ankle breaking shots or even negative impact. As for when it comes down to the second one, Of course, we already know that Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant are lockdowns, but it's going to be more fun overall if you do decide to go with a post-scoring takeover. Now you can go with power backdowns, enhanced jump shot contests if you wanted to, advanced post moves, post shot daggers, or even post playmaking. My favorite honestly is going to be power backdowns, but if you want to be exactly like Kobe, go ahead and pick advanced post moves. Now let's go ahead and move forward with this build to make sure that we made every single step of the way correctly. And if you followed along, we should be getting these 3 comparisons. And as y'all can see, together, we were able to create the Mamba mentality inside the Arc score build, which also does remind me of Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Now as you can see, when it comes down to the build as a whole maxed out, you're going to be able to do a lot on 2K23. Now going into 2K24, I did mention this is going to be my template for my shooting guard build. Now let me know down below your thoughts and opinions. Are you going to go ahead and make a shooting guard day 1 and season 1 of NBA 2K24? If not, go ahead and comment down what position you want to see next. I'm going to go ahead and bring y'all the point guard, the small forward, the power forward, and of course the center. Now I'm going to continue to do this until NBA 2K24 drops. Now as long as I could give y'all the info and the most insight of what to create, I'm definitely going to go ahead and bring y'all these bangers. So look, before we get out of here, if it was your first time coming through, be sure to hit that sub button if you're new, smash that like button, turn on post notifications to be a part of the Rich family, and last but definitely not least, comment down TG for Thank God King Jesus and where you're tuning in from, and I most definitely will be sure to get back to y'all with the response. And with all that being said though, I got one last thing to say. Rich out.